Ambassador Prieg of the Qualex adjusted his biofilter mask, his small, delicate nostrils twitching. The air of Earth, even within the filtered environment of the diplomatic shuttle, was an assault of bewildering organic compounds. Prieg was a being of refined sensibilities. The Qualex, as a species, were small, physically frail by galactic standards, but possessed of intellects that were jewels of clarity and logic. Their society was a testament to order, art, and the pursuit of knowledge, unmarred by base physical conflict, or, stars forbid, the keeping of dangerous beasts as companions. Which brought him to the purpose of this cultural exchange, Earth, humanity, a species the Qualex had catalogued as Class 7, developing high aggression potential, aberrant social practices. The most glaring of these aberrant practices, in Prieg's meticulously ordered mind, was their relationship with what they called pets. The initial survey reports had been so alarming they were almost dismissed as errors. Humans, sentient beings, willingly cohabitated with, nay, cherished, large, carnivorous predators. Creatures with teeth and claws designed for rending flesh, kept within their homes, near their young. It was, from the Qualex perspective, akin to inviting a tame Cathar sandviper to curl up on one's favorite meditation cushion. Utterly barbaric, utterly irrational. Their play was equally baffling. Qualex recreational activities involved complex holographic simulations, intricate musical compositions, and philosophical debate. Humans, according to the reports, engaged in sports, ritualized mock combat, often resulting in genuine physical injury, which they seemed to treat with alarming casualness. It painted a picture of a species teetering on the edge of savagery, their intelligence somehow failing to curb their primitive instincts. Today, Prieg and his chief biologist, Dr. Vella, a Qualex of equally delicate sensibilities but a relentlessly curious mind, were scheduled for a tour. Their human liaison, a cheerful, robust female named Sarah, had an itinerary that filled Prieg with a mixture of dread and morbid curiosity. First stop, a dog park. The term itself was an oxymoron to Prieg. A park implied a place of peaceful contemplation. Dog referred to Canis lupus familiaris, a domesticated descendant of a Terran apex predator, the wolf. How could these two concepts coexist? The dog park was an open, grassy area filled with chaos. Humans of various sizes were throwing objects, which the dogs, an astonishing array of shapes and sizes, but all clearly predatory in origin, would chase with manic enthusiasm. Some humans were engaged in what appeared to be playful wrestling with these beasts, creatures whose jaws could easily snap a Qualex limb. Prieg watched, his four hearts thrumming with anxiety, as a large human male rolled on the ground with a golden-furred creature nearly his own size, the animal's massive teeth inches from the human's throat, both seemingly enjoying it. "Observe, Ambassador," Dr. Vella murmured, her voice filtered through her own mask, her large optical sensors wide. "The human exhibits no fear. In fact, it appears to be initiating the more aggressive aspects of the interaction." Sarah, their human guide, chuckled. "Oh, Max just loves a good tummy rub. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, maybe a squirrel." She beamed as the large human and the dog disengaged, the human laughing, the dog panting happily, its long tongue lolling. Wouldn't hurt a fly. Prieg had seen anatomical charts of that creature's dentition. It could hurt far more than a fly. It could disembowel. Later, they were taken to a stadium to observe a football match, American variant. Prieg had studied the rules. It was, essentially, a territorial combat simulation. Large, heavily armored humans crashed into each other with bone-jarring force, vying for possession of an ovoid projectile. Injuries were frequent. One human was carried from the field on a stretcher, his leg bent at an unnatural angle. The crowd roared not in horror, but in excitement. Another human, after a particularly violent collision that would have sent a Qualex into medical stasis for a week, was helped to his feet by his teammates, patted on the helmeted head, and sent back into the fray after a cursory check by a medic. Prieg felt faint. This wasn't play. This was ritualized self-mutilation. How could a species that engaged in such reckless barbarism for recreation have mastered space travel? That evening, back in the sterile confines of their embassy module, Dr. Vella was unusually quiet, her usually busy manipulators still, her optical sensors focused on the data streams she had collected. Krieg, for his part, was composing a strongly worded preliminary report to the Qualex High Council recommending extreme caution in all dealings with this bafflingly dangerous species. Ambassador, Vella finally said, her voice a low hum. I have been analyzing the biosignatures and behavioral patterns observed today. My initial assessment may have been incomplete. Krieg paused his report. Incomplete. Dr. Vella, we witnessed sentient beings willingly placing themselves in a position to be mauled by predators, and then observed them engage in organized, high-impact physical trauma for sport. What nuance could possibly be extracted from such blatant savagery? The pets, Ambassador, Vella began, bringing up holographic projections. One showed the internal anatomy of a Terran wolf, powerful musculature, sharp teeth, strong jaws. Another showed a common dog, the golden retriever they had seen earlier. The baseline creature is, as we assessed, a formidable predator. However, look at the subtle genetic markers I was able to scan from a distance. Generations of selective breeding have altered them, not just physically, but behaviorally. Humans haven't just tolerated these creatures, they have actively shaped them. She displayed complex neurochemical analyses. Their aggression pathways are still present, but overlaid with powerful inhibitory signals, triggered by specific human cues, vocal tone, pheromonal markers, even posture. The loyalty bond is biochemically reinforced. They have, in essence, taken a natural weapon and not only disarmed it, but turned its loyalty wholly towards themselves. It's not coexistence, Ambassador, it's mastery. A subtle, pervasive form of dominance, achieved not through overt force, but through deep understanding and manipulation of another species' biology and psychology. Krieg felt a prickle of unease that had nothing to do with the Earth's organic miasma. Dominance. Consider, Vella continued, the energy expenditure. Humans feed these creatures, house them, provide medical care. Why? For companionship, they claim. But what kind of companionship is sought with a creature that, at its core, is designed to kill? It is a constant, subtle reminder of their ability to control the lethal, to befriend danger itself. She then switched the display to the football game. Slow-motion replays showed the violent impacts, the grimaces of exertion on the humans' faces, quickly replaced by focused determination. And this play, Ambassador, it appears reckless, yes, but look at the underlying patterns. It is a constant, high-intensity training exercise. They are honing their physical prowess, their pain tolerance, their ability to assess rapidly changing threat vectors, and their teamwork under extreme physical duress. The injuries are not seen as failures, but as acceptable risks, part of the conditioning process. Vella focused on a specific player who had taken a hard hit, stumbled, yet immediately refocused and made a crucial play. Observe the microexpressions, the physiological responses. Adrenaline, endorphins, their biochemistry is actively rewarding this behavior. They are not just enduring pain, they are, on some level, learning to utilize the physiological responses to it. If this is what they do for amusement, what are they capable of when genuinely threatened? When the game is real? The oh shit revelation, as a human might have put it, began to dawn on Krieg with the chilling clarity of a Qualex logical proof. He had seen primitive barbarism. Vella was showing him something far more sophisticated, far more disturbing. Humans didn't just live with danger. They cultivated it, mastered it, integrated it into their daily lives, into their very concept of leisure. Their pets weren't a sign of naivete, but of an almost casual assertion of dominance over natural predators. Their sports weren't just reckless abandon, but a relentless, low-stakes conditioning for high-stakes conflict, building physical and mental resilience that would be terrifying in a real combat scenario. Krieg thought of the Qualex military, small, precise, reliant on advanced technology, and avoiding direct physical confrontation at all costs. Their entire philosophy was about minimizing risk, preserving their fragile bodies. Humanity, it seemed, embraced physical risk, learned from it, grew stronger because of it. They treated potentially lethal force as a plaything, significant bodily harm as a temporary setback in a game. What did that mean for their capacity for controlled ferocity when truly provoked? If a human could wrestle playfully with a creature that could tear out its throat and then laugh about it, what would that human do to an enemy who threatened its home, its young, its pack? Implications were deeply unsettling. The Qualex had always prided themselves on their intelligence, their refined culture, their avoidance of brutish physicality. They had viewed humans as somewhat crude, if clever, primitives. Now, Krieg saw a species that had, perhaps through evolutionary necessity on a dangerous homeworld, internalized and even institutionalized the mastery of violence to a degree the Qualex could barely comprehend. Their friendliness, their boisterous laughter, their easygoing nature. Did it mask a capacity for focused lethality that was all the more dangerous for being so casually integrated into their society? The human concept of a wolf in sheep's clothing is well documented in their literature, Vela said softly, as if reading his thoughts. Perhaps we've been overly focused on the sheep persona they present in diplomatic overtures. Krieg's report to the Qualex High Council was drastically different from his initial draft. He still recommended caution, but not because humans were primitive. He recommended caution because they were, in a way that was utterly alien to the Qualex, terrifyingly advanced in the arts of confronting, mastering, and even befriending danger. The Qualex diplomatic mission to Earth was cut short, under the pretext of urgent matters back on Qualex Prime. Sarah, their human liaison, expressed polite disappointment, even offering Krieg a parting gift, a small, fluffy kitten, a juvenile feline predator, which Krieg accepted with a carefully controlled smile and a racing set of hearts. He had the kitten placed in the most secure biocontainment unit on their ship for the journey home, to be studied with extreme trepidation by Dr. Vela. The new perception of humanity rippled through the Qualex intelligentsia. They were no longer seen as boisterous, somewhat dim-witted barbarians. They were now viewed as beings who casually domesticated apex predators for amusement and who engaged in ritualized, high trauma, play as a form of communal bonding and physical conditioning. Their capacity for devastating, controlled violence, if ever truly unleashed, was a thought that filled the delicate Qualex with a profound and lasting sense of cosmic unease. They became far more polite in galactic forums, far more cautious in their dealings with the human sphere of influence. After all, a species that could make a friend of a wolf and a sport of a battle was a species best kept on very, very good terms. The legend of the playful predator began to circulate. Humans, the beings who had befriended danger itself, and in doing so, had become something far more formidable than any mere brute.